Welcome back, fiber friends, to yet another episode of the Wool to Gold podcast. So, if you caught one of the previous episodes this week, you know that I recently washed these samples of each of the fleeces that I brought home from Maryland Sheep and Wool. And so, the plan today is to mordant all of this wool and at least start the process of dyeing them pink. Okay, so originally I was thinking I was going to do like an indigo test dye for these, but I realized while looking through my dye collection that I thought I had worked my way through all of this lac. Turns out I haven't, and I bought a whole other like 2 ounce package, I believe. Yeah, I think it was another 2 ounce package from Maryland Sheep and Wool this year, and so we need to use some of this lac. I really like using lac though. Luckily, it's a really fun natural dye to use. And I really like pink. Pink is such a fun color. I think that the shades of pink we can get with lac are really wonderful. And if I end up not liking any of these, I might end up over dyeing it with like a little bit of yellow. We're gonna see. Okay, but just a rundown if you have not been tagging along for all these episodes. In terms of what wool we have the Shropshire Down wool, we have the Teeswater locks. That's what's at the bottom of this bag. And then we also have this bag of white Romeldale. Okay, so theoretically, all of these wools should take the color a little bit differently. Okay, so down wools are known for not taking dyes and colors as vibrantly as something like a fine wool does. Romeldale, in my experience, takes color fairly well, although sometimes it really depends on the sheep. So we're gonna see if this sheep takes the color well. And then Teeswater, because of its magnificent luster, usually takes color really, really well. So I'm excited to get some pink locks out of this. But before anything else, we need to mordant everything. So I did weigh this all beforehand and figured out that we have approximately 260 grams of fiber to dye. So let's do a little math. Let's figure out how much alum we need to mordant this and get that process started. Okay, so I did a little math. I got a little bit more exact. I have 267 grams of wool, and I want to use about 18% of the weight of fiber for this. That's just like the percentage that I've settled on for today. You can mordant up to 20% with alum though. I just like to stick a little bit below because if you over mordant with alum, then your fiber ends up getting a little bit sticky and there is no real way to remove that after the fact. But based on that math, I'm going to use about 48 grams of alum to mordant all of this fiber. I might end up splitting it up into like a larger, like two of the wools in one container, and then maybe like the CVM in its own separate container. I think that's how I'm going to end up mordanting this, and then I think I'm going to dye them all in just like one big vat. Maybe I'll separate them using like some sort of laundry mesh bag or something like that. I might not though, we're gonna see. One thing I did do though is I set aside a sample of each of these wools, kind of just like white and clean, so we can compare them after the fact. Lac, just like many other natural dyes, really benefits from pre-soaking, both as a paste before you start cooking it, and then this is one of those dyes that it really benefits from cooking the dye for at least an hour before you use it. So while we're mordanting all the wool we need to, I'm going to start at least like the very first batch of lac dye that I'm going to use, and then I'm going to see what it looks like after I finish using the Teeswater, and then I'll probably add more before dyeing the next batch of fiber. I just kind of want to see where 5 grams gets us. So I have about 105 grams of Teeswater, and I have about 5.5 grams of lac dye to use, so let's see what it ends up looking like. Alrighty, so I've just started heating up the water, and then I'm gonna go get the warmed up lac dye paste that I have upstairs. I'm gonna add it to the water here, and then I'm gonna let that cook for about an hour. I think I need to have it like a little bit lower. I think it should be closer to like 180 degrees, but this water isn't super warm, so I want to get it heated up quickly. And as you can see, I have added our lac dye. I was right, it does have to be around 180 degrees Fahrenheit or 80 degrees Celsius. But we're gonna leave it at this heat for just, I'd say like 15 minutes, and then I'll bring it down just a little bit and let it cook for an hour before adding the mordanted Teeswater fiber that I'm cooking upstairs. While all that's going, I'm gonna try to get another mordanting vat that looks kind of like this started, so that I can get the Romeldale and the Shropshire mordanted as well, because maybe I can get another round of lac dyeing done tonight and we can see that fiber sooner rather than later. Alright, our wool is mordanted and our pot is ready, so I'm gonna slowly lower some of these wool pieces into the dye pot. A lot of this wool is still wet as well, and that'll help the dye take more evenly. Alrighty, fiber friends, it's a few days later. My samples are dry. Before I show you the samples, because they did turn out really beautiful, like I'm really pleased with them, I am, full disclosure, scouring up, or I'm trying to scour up as much of the Teeswater fleece as I possibly can. So I split it into 4 different sections. Like I split the whole fleece into 4 different pieces, and I'm going to scour each of the 4 pieces separately. And then I think I'm going to dye one of them in the exhaust bath of the lac. I think I want to dye one of them in some logwood, and then maybe I'll try to do like a 3rd exhaust bath of the lac, and then definitely dye over that with a little yellow to like get an orange. I don't know. That's the plan as of right now. Here's that fleece roughly sectioned out. So like this is one section over here, this is another section over there. Then that section over there are some like salvageable locks, but there are definitely also some like grosser locks that after cleaning, I don't know, they might end up getting tossed anyway. If you didn't watch the episode where I talked about this fleece, this is some of the info about this fleece. It's been rinsed, and I have to say it's made washing it really easy because it's like super clean. As you can see, I really just need to wash it to get the tips clean and to get the grease out. And then here's just a little video of my bath with the Unicorn Power Scour. I'm using these laundry bags just to kind of like, it's easier for me to lift all of the fiber out of the hot water in these laundry bags. But ideally, in like a few months, I would really like to invest in some metal perforated inserts for these. So they make like an insert for this that's about the same size with like holes in it for, I mean, technically it's for like draining vegetables and food that is going to be for like service at a restaurant or something like that, but I think it would be really spectacular for scouring. So I feel like if you know exactly what I'm talking about, you see the vision, you understand how this could work. Okay, I really think it could work. Is it like a whole week later? Absolutely, that is my style. I do apologize for not filming like any kind of updates in between, but frankly, like, I've just been working. I've been really busy lately. I'm very wool rich. I'm trying to clean these fleeces as quickly and efficiently as possible, which just sucks up like a lot of my time. And if I'm being honest, filming all of it is just completely contradictory to the efficiency point. But yeah, so here is a bunch of clean Shropshire and some more completely clean Teeswater. And then over here, I have all of the dyed samples that I've done over the past few days. So there's a bunch of them. The Teeswater came out really beautiful. I just feel like this beautiful, like, raspberry red is stunning. Not as pleased with the exhaust mordant or the exhaust dye of the lac. Something about lac that I've noticed is when it sits in a stainless steel container for a while, it does tend to shift a little bit more like purple than I want it to. And it's so funny because on camera, this does not look very purple. Like I can see it, it looks more pink, but I promise that in person, this is reading more of like a purpley color, and I'm not like super happy with it. I might over dye it. I don't really know. I don't know. I don't know about this, but that's okay. You have some wins, you have some losses. I do really love the way that the lac took on the Shropshire Down and on the Romeldale. I think it turned out really nice. So this sample on this side is the Shropshire Down, and I do think that it took the color a little bit less vibrantly than the Romeldale did, but I won't really know until I blend these into a bat and I do like a side-by-side. And just some really quick side-by-sides and reflections on like the shade of pink or red, whatever you really want to call this, that I got. At the end of the day, if you work with fibers like this before, especially something that you're going to card up, you know that this like kind of like bright raspberry red, some would say, is going to end up looking a little bit closer to like the light pink once it is all blended up together. So here we have the Romeldale. I think it took the color really, really nicely. And again, I'm really excited to make some fine wool bats with this one. And then here we have the Shropshire Down. Again, it took the color better than I thought it was going to. I think that especially the tips came out really vibrantly red. And then for the Teeswater, I'm also really pleased with the outcome. Again, I think these, once they are blended up, this one might end up looking like, I don't know, a little maroon-y once I start spinning it up, because I'm probably not going to blend the Teeswater with anything. I'm probably just going to spin the locks the way they are into like a lock spun yarn. But I don't know. I'm happy with the outcome. Natural dyes rarely come out super ugly. Even if I'm not like exceptionally pleased with the color. So I'm definitely going to try to blend these up sometime soon. The Romeldale just came out so nice. The fiber is so soft, and I think it's going to be really lofty and really fun to spin. So I've been really looking forward to busting out the drum carder again, but I'm trying to like stay focused in some way, shape, or form. I have like a ton of different things going on right now. I have more fiber drying behind me. I am still trying to like wash fiber essentially almost every day to get everything clean. And then I am also trying to have like, even if it's just a mini shop update at the end of the month, I'm trying to have some kind of shop update because my shop is essentially like empty right now, and I've been getting a lot of emails about that, and I know, I understand. On one hand, like, I do want to produce a lot more art. Obviously, if I could have it my way, I would like produce a lot more art all the time, especially like crochet objects. But also, on the other hand, like, I do have a full-time job, and I have to keep that job. Like, that's the job that pays the bills. This does not pay the bills. Like, I love, again, I've talked about this before, I love coming on here. I love making videos, on here, on TikTok, on different social media platforms. But this doesn't even cover a fraction of what I would need it to in order to actually like pay all of my bills. Same thing with the art. Like I appreciate the support so much, and like to me it's such a dream that I can even have the money that I make from those art sales go back into my like supplies and stuff like that, so I can get nicer things to make more yarn for all of you. Like that's amazing, and I love that, but that's where that money is going. It's not really covering my bills, and as a result I do have to prioritize my day job. I do just kind of want to put it out there because I've gotten a lot of emails recently, and I know it's annoying that I don't take commissions. I know it's annoying, but also I'm a human being. I'm a single human being. I'm an artist, okay? And I choose to not take commissions for this exact reason. If I took commissions, I would be more than likely getting even more emails about people being upset that I'm not taking more commissions, that I won't take their commission project. Like, you know what I mean? I don't even accept commissioned work, and I already get a lot of my hate mail is about me not making enough to satisfy people's wants and needs. And at the end of the day, like, spinning yarn is very like anti-consumerist in my mind, and so I think a lot of you who love hand spun yarn, if you love it to such a voracious degree that you need to be sending me angry emails about it, you should get into the craft yourself and realize how much work goes into it. I'm just gonna put it out there. Anyway, here's all three fibers kind of side by side. Big ol' armful of wool. I think that's a really beautiful picture, and I do love the red that Lac produces. I think it's so like, I love having it side by side with like some blues and yellows because it's just so like primary color red. I know that like red, blue, and yellow are not like the true primary colors or whatever, but like I mean like the like in terms of like color schemes, that like almost like secondary school color scheme with those basic colors, I just think can be really, really fun. Kind of clowny, gives clown vibes to me. I don't know about you guys. But yeah, I really like the way these came out. I think they came out really nice. I need to remember to not let my lac dye sit if I'm going to use it as if I'm going to end up using it as an exhaust dye, I really shouldn't let my lac dye sit. That's something that I've learned. And it's just, you live and you learn. I don't know what I'm going to be dyeing next. I am working on a ton of projects right now, so frankly, I've been thinking about doing a whip check sometime soon. That's probably what the next video is going to be, if I had to take a guess, because I just have a lot of whips that I've been kind of working on and finishing, and you guys haven't seen yet, so I'm sure you would love to see some like finished yarn objects. And I've been working on this blanket and I'm more than halfway done with it, so I feel like I can safely show it to you guys. It's not all that exciting, but it is something that I've been occupying a lot of my time with. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little adventure in natural dyeing. I do really recommend lac as a beginner natural dye. It's very easy to use. It's very beginner friendly. There are some natural dyes that are not so beginner friendly, indigo being kind of the best example of dyes that are a little bit more, can be a little bit trickier than people expect if you've never done natural dyeing before, because some natural dyes do have to be, put through certain heating and cooling processes, certain chemical processes. Some need to be extracted via alcohol as opposed to like a water extraction like you can use with lac or logwood or Brazil wood, any of those woods that kind of need to be like pre-soaked in water in order to get a really nice dye. Those are definitely on like the easier end of the spectrum, at least in my opinion. And then once you sort of get into like, again, alcohol extractions, sort of like things like indigo vats where it's like a longer process, those are definitely a little bit trickier. And I don't necessarily recommend starting with those because it's always a deterrent to fail, right? We try something new, we are going to fail, okay? I'm not even that new at natural dyeing, and I kind of had a fail during this episode, right? That exhaust dye is, I don't know, I just don't like the color. I'm sorry I keep talking about it. I just think it's kind of fugly. We all fail sometimes, but in my opinion, it's better for fails to look something like this as opposed to, I don't know, like a failed indigo vat can just give some really like disappointing results if you're expecting this beautiful vibrant blue. And I just think that that's something to keep in mind if you're new to the world of natural dyeing. Anyway, I hope this video was fun for you guys. I hope you learned something. I am definitely going to be back soon with another update video on what I'm doing with this fiber. But it's probably going to be in June because we are coming so dangerously close to the end of May already, which is crazy. I feel like May has just flown by. But as always, thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the Wool to Gold podcast.